I was very pleased to get a new flight controller for my wife for Christmas, as well as a QX7 radio. It's an FrSky XSR F4PO, almost all in one. When I looked at the board, there seemed to be something on it, so I took a look through the trusty microscope. There's some kind of crusty deposit. I'm not sure if it's flux or if it's some kind of conformal coating. It's pretty flaky, so I don't think I'm going to rely on that for any weatherproofing at all. It's always good to make sure that all your tools are ready in front of you before you start any work. And so begins the dismantling of the quad. It'll be an almost complete rebuild. These little bottle caps are fantastic for keeping the screws in. Keeps them safe. For larger projects I use a Pringles cap. Keeps them safe. Opening up the quad is full of bits of grass and horror. The disadvantage of running your props backwards, of course, is that although it stops you from catching bits of scraggling things, it does throw things into the electronics. On goes the trusty soldering station. I'm using lead-free solder because, well, you know, environmentally friendly. Off come the cables from the old flight controller. This is a Naze 32. Served me very well indeed. And of course, for these big projects it's good to have a helping hand, someone to supervise when things go tricky. With the flight controller off, it's time to give all the carbon a nice scrub with an old toothbrush. There was quite a bit of cow poo and mud and I don't even want to know what else on there. And that came up nice and clean. The new flight controller was a little wider, obviously, than the Naze 32, so I took out some of the upstands, and it should be still quite strong. Tinning the pads on the flight controller. Now my soldering iron is quite a low wattage, small tip one, because 99% of my soldering work is with tiny SMD components, so I never got around to getting a larger one. It works fine. Bit more patience in the soldering, but you do tend to end up having the iron on the pad for a bit longer than normal, and this is not fantastic for the pad. Those power pads have plated through holes, so there's a lot of copper to heat up there. It just takes a bit longer. Power cables for the ESCs are all on now. Every time I make a power connection, I always do a continuity check between the battery connectors. If you make a mistake, it's easy to find out where you've gone wrong that way. Scrap wire to build the VTX connector. Always keep the old scraps in a box. Now I thought it'd be neat to put a little bit of heat shrink on the cable bundles. Hot air gun is so much better for doing heat shrink, better than a lighter. And the results, I think, look quite neat. I'm happy with that. With the flight controller all wired up, I just went and plugged it in to Betaflight, worked first time, got the settings all done, and then bloody USB port just ripped off as soon as I pulled it out. So annoying. So I took a USB connector I had in stock, mounted it onto a piece of scrap board and plenty of epoxy around the connector and connected to the nearest components on the PCB. It was a bit fiddly. Plugging it in and it powers up. and it connects, and it works. Fantastic. So I think I've actually got a stronger USB connector now. Down to the old memorial field to give it a bit of a flight test, and we'll see if it flies. And it all works rather well. It just feels so much smoother with that F4 CPU, and of course a decent radio. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We all need those subs now. Thanks.